Hello there. Today we're going to learn how to design this 3D printable name tag. Before we start, we want to go to the File folder and select Save As. Once you do that, you'll be prompted to name your name tag. Name it whatever you'd like and click OK. After that, Google Drive will pop up and you'll need to select a folder to save your model in. Once you do that, you'll see the name of your project in the top left-hand corner of the screen and we're ready to model. So let's get started. We're going to start with the rectangle tool, so find it here in the left toolbar and click it. Click and release anywhere in your model, and click and release again to draw a rectangle about the size you see here on the screen. You don't have to be perfectly accurate, just get a rectangle about this size. I'm going to use the orbit tool to orbit around to take a look at our rectangle. Next, we're going to take the push-pull tool and make this rectangle 3D. Click and release on your rectangle, move your mouse upwards, and click again to make your rectangle 3D. Pretty easy, wasn't it? Now I'm going to use the pan tool to pan our rectangle more towards the center of the screen. Then I'm going to click the zoom tool and click and drag and zoom it in a little farther. Next, I'm going to click the orbit tool and orbit it around so we're kind of looking down at the top of the rectangle. Lastly, I'm going to pan it over a little bit just to get it nice and centered in our screen. Next, we're going to round over the corners of our name tag, and we're going to do that with the 2-point arc tool, which you'll see here. Once you click it, find two sides of your name tag. It doesn't matter which sides, but click once on one side and click again on the adjacent side, and you'll see your arc turn purple. Click a third time near the corner to set the arc. So again, click once, click twice, and then click a third time when the arc is purple to make a perfect arc. We're just eyeballing here. You don't have to get these exactly accurate. Just kind of do like I'm doing here. But this is 3 clicks to get your arc. And once you do that, you can look around and you can see that we've got all 4 corners of this with a little bit of a round over on them. Next, we're going to use the push-pull tool and we're actually going to finish rounding over these corners. So select it, click and release on each face, push it all the way down to the bottom, and then click again. And when you do this, you'll see that SketchUp will automatically take away the bottoms. We're going to orbit around here, and we're going to do the same thing. Go back and select the push-pull tool. Click and release on your top face, move it all the way down to the bottom, and click again. And again, SketchUp is smart enough to erase the corners away from the bottom. If you've done this right, you'll have some rounded over corners that look something like this. Pretty neat, huh? Next, we're going to add that little rim onto the edge of our name tag, and to do that, we're going to go and select the offset tool as you see here. Hover over the edge of your name tag, click and release, move your mouse inside the name tag, and click again. Once you do that, you'll get an extra line on the inside of your name tag as you see here. Next, we're going to take the push-pull tool, and we're going to click and release on that outside line that we have. Pull it up a little bit and click again. So you've got a little rim as we can see here. Next, we're going to click the circle tool. You'll see it here. And click and release on your name tag right about here. Make your circle and click again. Next, we're going to use the push-pull tool to turn that circle into a hole. So you've got a place to clip your name tag on your backpack. To do that, you're going to click and release on the face of the circle and then click again along the bottom of your name tag. In fact, right on one of the lines that makes up the bottom of the name tag. If you've done this right and use your orbit tool to spin around and look underneath your name tag, you're going to see a hole that goes clean through the name tag. A common mistake to make here is to not click the bottom of your model when you're doing the push-pull. And this can result in a giant tube sticking out of the bottom of your name tag. This is not what you want and will actually make your name tag not printable. So to fix this, simply go to the bottom left-hand corner, click undo, and try again. And so again, to do this successfully, click on the push-pull tool, click on the face of your circle, and then click again along any line on the bottom of your name tag. And if you do that, you'll get a proper hole. Next, we need to do a little preparation for our model for the next few steps. We're going to click the Select tool, which is just the arrow tool from the toolbar on the left side. Once we do that, you can click and drag and select your entire name tag. That's going to make it turn blue like this. Once you have it all selected, right or secondary click on it and select Make Group. And this essentially puts your name tag, or what we have drawn so far, into a little protective force field that in SketchUp we call a group. We'll go into these more in later lessons. If you've done this right, you'll see that when you orbit your model around, your entire name tag as you have it drawn so far will be contained in a blue box like this. No name tag is complete without your name, so let's find the 3D text tool, which you'll see here on the toolbar, and click it. Once you click it, this box will come up that will allow you to write your name. Type your name in and hit OK. Once you do that, your name will come up on your mouse pointer and you can move it around wherever you want. Put it on top of your name tag and click. That will set your name in place. Now, if you're lucky, your name fit on the first try. But if your name happens to be really long, like this, there's actually something that we can do to fix it. You don't want the text of your name hanging off the side of your name tag. To fix this, go back to the 3D text tool, and this time, in the height setting, change that to a smaller number. So if you have a really long name like this, if you change it to a smaller number, you can make it fit on your name tag. You can try this as many times as you like until you get it right. Next, we have just a little bit of housekeeping to do, and then you'll be ready to 3D print your name tag. On the left side toolbar, find this tool. It's called the Outer Shell tool. Once you find it, click on your name and click on the base of your name tag. What this has done is joined them together into one big group. And you can only 3D print one group at a time. To check to make sure this worked, click on the Entity Info button on the right side toolbar. Once you do this, this panel will slide out, and if we look towards the top, you'll see in the Entity Info here that our model is a solid group. Models that are a solid group are 3D printable. Now, you may have noticed that our name tag is quite large when you compare it to Temple. We certainly couldn't 3D print out something that size. We're going to have to scale it down. To do that, find the Scale tool on the left side toolbar. Click on it and click on your name tag, and once you do, you're going to get these scale grips that you can move around. Click and drag on these, and you can actually scale the name tag down just by sliding them. And if you use Temple as a size comparison, you're probably going to want a name tag that's at least smaller than Temple's foot, if not a lot smaller. So you may have to do this once or twice to get the scale just right. So every time you want to scale, click on the Scale tool, click on the grips, and scale it down until it's smaller than Temple's foot. If you're near your 3D printer, you can take a look at the print bed and get an idea by looking at Temple's foot and looking at the size of your name tag if your print will fit or not. Next, we're going to have to erase Temple from our drawing because we can't 3D print her. So find the Erase tool on the left and click right on Temple to erase her. Sorry, Temple. Once you've done that, you should be left with just your name tag. Now, we need to save our name tag into a format that 3D printers can understand. To do that, go to Export and STL. That will save out an STL file, which is a file that 3D printers understand. So excellent work! You have designed a file for 3D printing and prepared it for export. Happy printing!